Call to order the meeting of the Salem School Committee of February 9th, 2026 at 7 p.m. This meeting is taking place in School Committee chambers at Collins Middle School and on Zoom you can join via the link posted in the meeting agenda. The first item on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
A motion made by Member Cornell, seconded by Member Miranda. Under discussion, seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? The matter carries 6-0. Public comment. The Salem School Committee would like to hear from the public on issues that affect the school district and are within the scope of the committee's responsibilities. Spanish interpretation is available for anyone who needs it. The members of the school committee would like to remind the public that Salem Public School students regularly attend school committee meetings. We encourage all meeting participants to model respectful and productive public discourse for our young learners. If there are any public comment in the chambers, you can approach the podium and the microphone here. Seeing none. Is there any public comment on Zoom? Please use the raise hand function on Zoom.
There is not.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is approval of the consent agenda. This is the minutes of the school committee meeting of January 26th, the minutes of the school committee retreat of February 2nd, and the warrants of January 22nd and January 22nd and January 29th.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion made by Member Cornell, seconded by Member Miranda. Under discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The matter carries 6-0. Student representatives report. Cindy's on Zoom.
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Hello.
My report tonight was mostly going to be on the new opportunities that have been introduced at Salem High as of February. We just restarted the C program for any high school student that wants to get an opportunity at the Science Experimental Learning Opportunities. We also started a podcast with some of the staff at the school where students can participate with the staff in talking about the different opportunities offered. It's also CTE month at the high school, so we're seeing a lot of panels and very helpful members of unions that are coming to talk to students about possible future careers that they might explore after high school. And I've been very surprised to see how successful it's been and the amount of student turnout. I also wanted to talk about the student advisory meetings. The student advisory will be meeting again tomorrow, and we will be discussing on the plan moving forward with our agenda for the year, which was how we would create a new inclusive space for any incoming students throughout the middle of the year, and how to better accommodate them to getting used to the high school experience. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Cindy. Any questions from the committee for the student representative? Yep, Dr. Shea.
Just one thing I want to add. Thank you, Sydney, for, and I'm sorry that you had some car troubles, but thank you for being on tonight. One of the things I'm excited that we're rolling out of the high school through JROTC, but also Taylor McDonald, who runs our after-school programs, is we have a leadership seminar that's being offered through a professor from the Harvard School of Education who's going to be taking our interested students. And I think we had almost 20 applicants for 15 slots to be in this leadership seminar that he offers around developing and fine-tuning young people's leadership skills. He does it mostly for young adults at the School of Ed, but he's offering it to, he's a resident of Salem, and we're working with him, and we offered it to the student advisory group and other student leaders throughout Salem High School. So we're really, and New Liberty and Salem Prep. So we're really excited about this first opportunity to give our young people some leadership training that I think we can't take for granted. That there's actually we don't give our young people enough opportunity. Although we do have some. We're going to get to these young leaders right here in a moment, but we're excited about this offering that we're doing for the first time at Salem High School.
Thank you very much. Superintendent's report.
All right. Well, we're really excited to have some guests here tonight, and I was contacted by Mr. Collins from Witchcraft School, and Look at all these wonderful faces in the front row. This is the best front row group we've had, I think, ever, filled with young faces. So, Mr. Collins, you want to explain why you're all here tonight so the committee knows? Do you want to just come up to the microphone? Yeah. And I think we have third, fourth, and a lot of fifth graders. Is that right?
We do. We have, and Mayor Pangalo, doctors, thank you for this opportunity. In preparation for a field trip to the Edward M. Kennedy Institute for its Senator for a Day, is what they call it. We wanted to come here in preparation to give them firsthand experience of how a committee or a council operates, the protocols, the policies that are involved here, and how the individuals actually behave with decorum and respect towards each other, and so that they can carry these principles into their field trip when they become senators for a day in the Senate chamber over in the Edward M. Kennedy. But yeah, we have a council of about 23. We have 11 fifth graders, 11 fourth graders, and 1 third grader. We meet once a week, and we discuss anything from school policies, school issues, to a plethora of topics, personal and public. So we greatly appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. And as I mentioned to some of you, we have a seat right here for you as a student representative. When you get into high school, you can be on the school committee. And then one day you can actually be elected to join the school committee, or be elected to be mayor, or be the superintendent. Right? I don't know how exciting all those jobs sound for you, but we would love to have some new faces up here. So thank you for joining us, and we love seeing all of you here, okay? And if you have questions, I can come, and any of these school committee members, I think, would be happy to answer questions if you would want to invite them as a follow-up too, Mr. Collins. All right, so we're going to get into my report. First of all, it's very sad that we had a Patriots loss yesterday, and well, I didn't want to talk about it, but I do have to pay up with some lobster that I have to send to the Pacific Northwest to a friend of mine who's a superintendent in Washington State. But don't worry, I'm not charging it to the city of Salem. That'll be on my dime. So we'll. I was hoping to get some nice salmon from Seattle, but that didn't happen. So, but we move on to all the great things that are happening in the Salem Public Schools. Next week is vacation week, which I'm sure you guys didn't know that it's vacation week next week, right? Okay. So we have vacation week next week, and we are running some programs, some academies for some students at the elementary and middle school level, and pre-K level too, I think, right? Deputy Superintendent Carboni, but mostly our schools are closed as we take the February vacation. I have a few updates here tonight. If we could put the first presentation up. Actually, the first item before that is the calendars for New Liberty and the Sarah Parker Remond Elementary School calendar. As you know, those are both innovation schools. The staff is able to vote on the calendar, and it can deviate from the district's calendar, but the schools like to wait until the district or the school committee approves the district calendar. And since our last meeting, they have both approved their calendar, or staff has approved the calendar, and you have a copy of that in your packet, and we'll be asking for a vote on that later tonight. So next, Mark, if we could put up the presentation. I will note that the Sarah Parker Remond School has chosen to have a 2-week break, it looks like, during. They like the fact that we had a 2-week break this year during December, and so I think they opted to go a little differently than our schedule. So Carlton and Saltonstall, the new Sarah Parker Remond Elementary School, as promised, we plan to have an update every other meeting, and I wanted to share some updates on where the planning was for the merging of the two schools. As you know, I shared at the beginning of January, our goal is to create a unified school community that's based on 4 key strategic priorities, which are aligned to our strategic plan around student achievement, staff empowerment, culture, and operational excellence. So those are our goals to ensure a smooth transition for the new school. A couple of updates. We have a new school name, as we've talked about, and the school committee will be discussing the second reading, or we'll be taking it up for a second reading. We had somebody do a pronunciation for us. Actually, Laura Assad's daughter did the pronunciation for us, and so we've been trying to share that with the community. And we're trying to also share more information on who Sarah Parker Riemann was. Don't want to just do it because it's Black History Month. It's something we should be discussing all the time, but this is a fitting time that we have a potential new school name, and we're trying to ensure that not just the students at this school, but across the district know who this very impressive individual is. So our curriculum and instruction team is sharing information and gathering more information. What's remarkable is if you Google her, there's a lot of information out there about her. So it's not hard to find. I do think one question that's come up is, should innovation be in the name of the school? And I'll let you all decide and discuss that, because it is the plan. We have an innovation team meeting around continuing the school as an innovation school, and there are questions about whether the innovation should continue in the name of the school. The transfer request window has now closed for families that were interested in transferring to other schools in the district. As of Friday, there were 16 requests, but one came in after this presentation was complete, so there are now 17 requests for transfers from both Carlton and Saltonstall to other elementary schools in the system. And so we'll be processing those in the coming weeks. Staffing, where we had promised to tell staff to the extent possible what opportunities were available to them at the newly merged school. We did have a couple of staff requests to transfer to other schools in the system, and we're going to try to honor those. But by and large, I think 98% of the staff want to stay with the schools, which we think is great, and most of the students and families want to stay with the merged school. But we plan on sharing with staff as much as we can share by this Friday, as we had promised on February 13th. We have a meeting with the Salem Teachers Union tomorrow to finalize, hopefully, all the lists that we have so we can communicate to the staff. We plan on walking through the building with our facilities team and our operations team to look at to look at all the spaces, to make sure that we have all the classroom spaces identified. If there is additional work that we need to do to the building, we want to make sure we're planning well ahead of the summer. And so we have a walkthrough scheduled for the week of February 23rd. We are checking in every 2 weeks as an executive team. So my team of the different departments meets every 2 weeks. I guess I'm telling you all that in the front row. And as part of our agenda, we talk about this merger every single time we meet. And so it's a standing agenda item. We have another meeting Thursday, and we have a project plan that we are working from to make sure that we're meeting all the milestones that we've set out for this plan. The recommendation was made to have an informational meeting for Spanish-speaking families. We do not have a date yet, but Laura Assad and her team are organizing so that we can meet with just Spanish-speaking families so they can have their questions answered about the merger, families from both Carlton and Saltonstall. And there was an open house on February 5th. We had to postpone it initially because of the snowstorm from a couple weeks ago, and then they had a great turnout. It sounded like they had about 100 or more people there from Carlton, especially, who were going to wanted to see the Saltonstall building, and they gave tours. They had opportunities for students to ask questions and families to ask questions. So it was, I think, a very positive night by all accounts. So that was last Thursday. As you know, we have two committees that are meeting that are made up of families and staff and community members. The transition committee is really focused on making sure that we take care of the emotional well-being of every student, caregiver, and staff member. That is led by Principal Weaver and Miss Ellen Wingard, who's in the back, if you want to wave over there. And their mission is to make sure that there is again, a seamless transition, that students feel connected to the transition from both schools, that staff are feeling included in important decisions as much as possible, and families and caregivers are well informed about what's happening as the two schools come together. They, in their first meeting, they established common agreements for the committee to have, to ensure that they have a positive, open mindset, and that equity, which is one of our core values, is at the center of their work, and that they, are working together closely to ensure a smooth transition. I believe a school committee member, Stott, is on that committee. Also, about the transition committee, they've established working groups of students, staff, caregivers, and families focused on the specific needs of each of those groups. They have the next meeting is scheduled for the 25th of February, and then you can see there's a meeting on March 18th and March 25th around planning a whole series of events and communications to the community so that, again, that the transition is happening as we intended. I don't know if Ms. Wingard or Ms. Stott, you want to add anything to anything I just said? Okay. All right. Great. The innovation team, which is led by Principal Jellison and Deputy Superintendent Carboni, they had their first meeting, and I'm sorry, school committee member Miranda is on that team representing. First meeting happening on January 29th, and then there's meetings this week and on the 10th, and then the 26th of February and March 10th. They started to look at the data for Carleton and Saltonstall, both demographics, MCAS performance, and as many indicators as publicly available. They did an activity around noticing and wonder, highlighting the differences at the both schools, but there's also many similarities across the two schools as well. They started talking about curriculum and the use of curriculum. One school, Saltonstall, uses the district curriculum, and Carleton, which is an innovation school, has more flexibility in the curriculum that they use. So they were starting to talk about what are some of the shared resources that they would be using across the merged school, and they started discussing this specifically for English language arts, which they will continue to review, and then they'll ultimately move into math and other content areas.
Sure. So when they're talking about the using the district's curriculum or using the innovation curriculum, is it possible that they could differentiate between like one for ELA, one for math, or is it going to be all?
I'm gonna let, yep.
Meaning, do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, I definitely want you to answer that.
So they could use the district curriculum, my view, for ELA and choose to do something different for math, or vice versa.
Okay.
Or they could do something different for both.
The team is also planning, they're working closely with the Department of Education around what we need to do around the current innovation plan. The school does need to submit a prospectus, and ultimately will need to get approval from the superintendent, the school committee, and a member of the union, which would be the union president, who is in the audience here as well. You want to wave? Union president, okay. And then there's a 2/3 required vote of that screening team, or of the team of the superintendent, school committee, and union rep, or union president, which will then go to the Department of Education for submission. And then the second stage is about the development of the innovation plan, where the plan needs to be developed by the team, get a signature from all team members, and then the school committee, all of you, needs to approve, and that ultimately gets forwarded to the Department of Education. I don't know if Member Miranda or Deputy Superintendent wants to add to anything I just said regarding the innovation team.
No.
Okay. And in the future, I may allow you to steal the show and take the presentation about the innovation team, because I'm not a member of the team. So, all right, yep.
Can I ask a question about the timing of this?
Mm-hmm.
Does this need to be completed before the start of school in September?
Yes.
Does what?
Does it
The
need to be
innovation
completed
plan
before the
needs to
start of school?
Finalized, approved?
Absolutely. I mean, we'd like to have it done before we end school, because part of the plan would be for the school to have some working teams over the summer, that we would stipend teachers and other educators at the school to work together to bring that plan to life. And there are going to be, because the schools use different curricula across the grade levels, there are going to be shifts for teachers. We want to get that into teachers' hands early on, give them time to have some guided facilitation through that, in the summer if they choose to. It will all be voluntary, but we would pay teachers to do that. And I know Principal Jellison and Principal Weaver are very interested in doing that.
Yep.
Questions
Cornell?
from the committee? Yeah.
I just had a question about, we talked about this a little bit in the last meeting, just how inclusion and representation are going on those two committees that are working to bring the two schools together.
Do you want me to take that, or you want to? Go ahead.
I can speak for our team. We did, get some feedback on that, and our team has, done some work, specifically Principal Jellison, in inviting more inclusive diversity on the team, and I think that will, serve us well. So we'll have some additional members at our meeting tomorrow.
Yep. Member Cornell?
And the transition team, is that, I forget who's in
Yeah,
charge
that's
of that.
Alan Wingard and Principal Weaver. They did the same thing. Based on the feedback that we received, they looked at the representation and made sure that they had a stronger representation of the entire community. I also think it's not just about the team. Both teams are going to have to be aggressive in making sure that they get the message out to all members of the community, because obviously the majority of people are not on the committee, and we want to make sure on the committees, and we want to make sure that they get information about what's happening related to transition and related to innovation. So we're going to have to work hard to make sure that all families, not just the families that show up at the PTO meetings, get the information about what's happening at the school.
Yep. Member Miranda?
I just wanted to add that some feedback that I got personally at the end of last week was that the outreach could have been done. There could have been like a little bit more lead time, though I know that this process it's kind of urgent. And like deeper outreach is what I heard from a parent that is, they consider themselves to be pretty engaged, but feel kind of excluded by the process.
Yeah, I appreciate that feedback. Obviously, we want to. I think we got to balance how quickly we're moving with the idea that we don't want to leave people behind, and we don't want people to feel excluded. This is a big deal. This is a really important transition to do well. So we appreciate the feedback we've gotten, and we've got to do better than we did in terms of trying to make sure we get as many voices as possible.
Deputy Superintendent?
Yeah, and I would just add that I think there was an over-reliance on putting out the Google form and the invitation, and then just working with the people there. We should, there should have been a review of who's on there and said, oof, the deadline has passed, but we need to do some more outreach into the two communities to make sure this is more inclusive.
Yep. Member Cornell?
I think it's really, even though this didn't launch perfectly, I think it's really good that we're having these conversations, because this is sort of an ongoing it's an ongoing issue for any kind of bureaucratic body, right? To say we want inclusion and representation, but it's not just doors open, come on in. You have to go out, recruit, speak to people individually, ask them to come and participate. So I think it's an important lesson for all of us as school committee members and district leadership, and we all have, and I think the community plays a role in that too, really looking around and saying who can we bring in, and not just leaving the door open and hoping somebody wanders through.
Yeah, I just add, I think you're right, school committee, not counselor, but school committee member Cornell. People need to be tapped too. People need to be approached. They need to have, the relationships need to be forged for people to feel comfortable joining teams. Not everybody will just even understands what the commitment is or how they can contribute, when in fact every single member of the community can contribute on these teams. So I really do appreciate the push from the committee and from other members in the community. So thank you for that. Any other questions about the merger? Okay. So next on the agenda is a discussion about New Liberty and Salem Prep, the location of the schools. We're not asking for a vote here tonight, but I think ultimately we will be asking for a vote about potential location changes for the two schools. Many of the members of the committee know that there have been significant concerns about the conditions at the mall which they're located, the Witch City Mall. And I would say from the day I arrived here almost 6 years ago, we've been talking about this very issue. There have been concerns about maintenance, cleanliness, and safety and security in the mall. Obviously, we have wonderful students, so it's not our students. It is, and it's not really the space that they're in. It's the space leading up to the mall. It's the external space outside of where the schools are located. And I do believe that the conditions have gotten worse over time. And we've worked very closely with the City of Salem, with Salem Police, and it's been hard. They're limited. All of us have, I think, our hands tied because we don't own the facility. It's the only, obviously, building that our schools are housed in that the city or the school system does not own. And so really we've been exploring new spaces for the last 4 years. We've seen a lot of interesting things, but we haven't really been able to land a location that we think is suitable, that we can afford, and that is manageable given our cost constraints, especially since many of the spaces need build-out from the district. So if we look at New Liberty Innovation School first, there is interest. We've had, and thanks to the mayor, been very supportive in looking at moving New Liberty to Salem State, to the Enterprise Center, which we think is a great location to have a high school. We'd be the first high school in the state, we believe, although I'm just guessing, but I'll just keep throwing it out there until somebody corrects me that I'm wrong. First high school on a 4-year college campus, which I think is really exciting for our young people. And there's a lot of excitement about that space. The challenge is that there's a cost element to it. We have fiscal constraints that are tied to the build out of the space. And right now, while we've been looking at different funding sources and we're looking at grants, we're looking at foundations to help us, we don't have the necessary resources to build that space out, given our financial challenges that are not new to the community. But again, we do want to continue to pursue that space at Salem State. It is aligned to our commitment to higher education and workforce development and would be a real win for the school and I think for the city. What I am proposing at this point is for a temporary location to move to Carleton School that is now vacated because of the merger. That would get New Liberty out of the mall and would allow for it is a very nice space that we don't pay a lease for. We own Carleton School, and we could use the space at least temporarily for as long as the school committee wanted to for New Liberty. But again, I think there's an urgency to get out of the mall, and this does give us a location for as early as next year. Just want to shift over to Salem Prep High School. We continue to look at Salem Prep High School. It is a school that is very unique, that a public school system runs a public day school. But at this point, we still think that the school should remain in our portfolio. There is some overlap with existing programs, but there is obviously tuition savings that we realize with students who are not tuitioned out of the system and out of district placements. And so we've been having a lot of internal discussions about Salem Prep. We're also trying to understand what the regulations are from the Department of Education for a public day school, working very closely with our special education director, Jen Doucette-Lee, as well as with the principal, Lisa O'Neill. But right now, we're exploring the option, or I'm proposing that we look at two options for the move of the program. Either to join New Liberty at Carleton School for next year, where we could potentially have two different entrances for them, and we could say Carleton would be a big space for both schools, and they could easily fit in there. Or there's the possibility of moving Salem Prep to Salem High School, which there is a space at Salem High School that's a separate portion of the building. They would have a separate entrance. There are pros and cons to both, and I think I'm just putting it on the table. There's no decisions to be made regarding that, and we certainly want to have more conversations with the staff, with families. We did notify families today and staff that we were at least putting this on the table here tonight. But the advantages to going to Carleton would be that they would stay with their partner in New Liberty. It's a space that's, a beautiful space. You don't have to contend with the mall, and it gives them, I think, a better learning environment than they have now. And it does keep them. There's some students that chose to leave Salem High School, and it's for different reasons. It didn't work for them at Salem High School, so it does keep them separate, really separate, because it's not on the same campus or in the same school. The advantages to being at Salem High School is about access to programs, is the access to the CTE programs, it's access to the early college programs, to sports programs, all the music, the art program. I mean, Salem High offers everything under the sun for young people. And so while New Liberty students have been taking advantage of that, Salem Prep students, and New Liberty offers a lot of things already as a high school. One of the concerns I have personally about Salem Prep is that students that go to Salem Prep, I worry, don't have access to the kinds of things, that programs and experiences that we would want all high schoolers to have. So at this moment, I'm just suggesting that this be a discussion. And I think at some point, I would want the school committee to take a vote about the future locations of these schools. And I certainly want to hear from the community in the coming weeks. While the communities are not large, they care deeply about their schools. There's a lot of pride in both schools, and we want to make sure that we're supporting the needs of every student that attends those two campuses. So that is my update for tonight. I will stop there and turn it back over to you, Mayor.
So before...
On this topic.
Yeah, on this topic, are there questions from the committee this time? Oh, Member Miranda.
Is this the proper time to ask questions about this, or do we plan on having a separate?
We'll have a separate meeting. This will be on a future agenda for further discussion and a vote, but if there's initial questions, it's posted so we can ask them now.
Okay, awesome. My first question is, and I don't know that you need to answer this right now, but why should it remain in the portfolio? Salem Prep.
Well, I think we're getting to a point where in the year that I don't want to be disruptive to the experience for young people and the staff. I think we have talked a lot, but we haven't, I don't feel like we have a strong yet, a strong decision about a recommendation around keeping or dissolving the school, or merging the school for that matter. And I don't want to do something that's reckless on behalf of the children, who are there. It's 27 students there, and they just as important as any student in the system. So I want to be careful. I think we have to have some healthier conversations about the types of programs we offer, and to make sure that we're not eliminating something that, we would regret eliminating in the system. And these students have very specific IEPs that would need to be honored. And in some cases, we could honor them in the school system. In some cases, we couldn't. And I'm not sure that I'm not convinced yet that it would be financially in our best interest also to somehow dissolve the school.
Member Miranda.
Sorry, I have one more thing.
Oh, sure.
In terms of New Liberty. I know that we saw some data some time ago telling us like where kids lived in the city and then the respective schools that they go to, but I'm wondering if we can see some of that data
Sure.
For New Liberty as well.
Meaning where the students live that attend New Liberty.
That's correct.
Okay, sure, yep. Shirley, do you have that down over there? Okay, thank you.
Member Stott.
Thank you. I'm just curious with the current situation of New Liberty and Prep together, do their spaces commingle a lot currently at the mall, or are they like physically pretty separate that it would be a different situation at Carleton?
They don't really commingle, although they have the same entrance to the facility. They don't share teachers. They don't share resources. For the most part, I mean, they're cooperative with one another and they collaborate. There's not tension between the schools, but they do serve different population. I think we would work with the school leaders and the staff to figure out what the best way is to give them their own spaces. But you could do that in a building as big. I mean, Carleton's not a huge school, but for two small programs, you could certainly do that. You'd have to talk about whether it's one floor is one school, the other floor is another school. I would leave it up to the staff that know best to guide us on that.
It's a quick follow-up to that. So you said Salem Prep currently has 27 students. What's New
Liberty, I think, is up to 60.
60? Thanks.
Their numbers fluctuate during the year. They tend to get more students throughout the year, but they're about as high as they've been. Which is 60 now.
Any further questions on this topic? Again, this will be on a future agenda, so this is not the last opportunity to have this discussion. Member Stott?
I just had one other question, similar to the New Liberty School and like location of students for Salem Prep, maybe polling of interest of participating in the programs that are available at the high school, that if that would be one reason, is it something that's even of interest,
To
that
the
would,
students.
yeah.
Yeah. I do know that there's, internally, we're not, there's differing opinions from about Salem Prep. Some people do think that Salem Prep would be better off being at Salem High School, and some people think that's not the best option for the school. But I think it's a good suggestion to have conversations with the families and the kids. There may be, and again, they have very specific IEPs that we have to look at very carefully. Okay. Let's see, on the agenda.
Evaluation.
Yeah, so you do actually have my evaluation, or the first part of it here. In the packet, or it was emailed to you later today, it's the largest part of my evaluation, which, by the way, for the students, is the only person in the school system that has a public evaluation, is the superintendent, right? So I have to submit my evidence of the work I did in the last year. And so what I gave you tonight is around the state standards for school district leadership. Standard 1 is instructional leadership. Standard 2 is management and operations. 3 is family and community engagement. And 4 is professional culture. So you have that document in here for your review. I do have to finish the goals, the 3 goals that I set, and the evidence that I have for either not achieving, or making progress towards my goals. My evaluation will be up on the website after tonight's meeting for the public to see as well, because it's required to be up there for review from the public, and the school committee now has it for their review, and I'll send you my goal assessment as soon as I complete that part of it. Is there any questions about the evaluation?
Yep. Member Cornell.
It is my exciting new job as vice chair to coordinate the evaluation of the superintendent. So I think the mayor and I will probably set a date that seems reasonable for us all to evaluate it. But in the meantime, I'll do what Member Cruz did and send out templates, and maybe I'll give you one of my old examples just so you can sort of see. People are always interested in how much or how little, or if you could do bullets and all of that stuff. So I'll try to get that out probably by the beginning of next week.
Member Cornell, there's also on the website is all the evaluations completed by the committee from last year. They're all publicly available. So I think we shared one with you.
Yeah.
So you can see what members rated me last year in the comments as examples for those that are completing it for the first time.
Can I just also?
Yep.
I think the students should also know that we are very tough on the superintendent. We read all of his stuff really carefully, and we give him really hard grades.
Okay. Well, on my still finance and operations, so I'm going to pass it over to Assistant Superintendent Pauly.
Good evening. I wanted to remind everyone that we are officially in budget season. And so we have spent the last few weeks preparing for and starting to engage with public stakeholder groups. We did a lot of analysis and preparation during the school reconfiguration process, and we've begun talking with different stakeholder groups, including the public. So our first public forum is this Wednesday from 6:30 to 7:30. It is online, and so we hope that many people will join us to hear our preliminary budget priorities, how we're thinking about next year, and to give us feedback and input. We're hoping both for a transparent process, but also one that engages the whole community. So the first forum for the public is Wednesday, the 11th. There is a second, that is online, there is a second forum after February break. That is February 25th, also at 6:30. That is at Salem High School Library. Students are invited as well. And then on Thursday, there is one that is specifically for Salem Public Schools staff. So we hope our staff colleagues will join. That is online. That is from 3:45 to 4:45. So in addition to the forums, we are also reaching out to different advisory groups. We have met with the English Learner Parent Advisory Committee. We will be meeting with the Special Education Parent Advisory Committee. And we are also we'll plan to meet with the Superintendent's Parent Advisory Committee and the Student Advisory Group. In the meantime, we have an email address that is spsbudget@salemk12.org, and we invite all comments, questions, and reminders from the public. So that is my report.
And prior to this meeting, we did have a special meeting to do some setting of the groundwork around the current fiscal year budget process, Chapter 70, and just the context of the school department's budget relative to the entire city's budget. So appreciate your efforts on that as well. Any subcommittee reports? Any subcommittees? No reports from the subcommittees. All right. Motions and resolutions. Our first item is the 2026-2027 New Liberty Innovation School and proposed Sarah Parker Raymond Elementary School calendar. Any discussion? Take the motion.
Motion to approve.
I had a question.
No, we have a motion, so I'll take a second.
Sure.
Okay. Motion made by Member Cornell, seconded by Member Stott. Under discussion. Questions and discussion?
Thanks. Forgetting the rules already. Two questions. Salem Prep, are they on the other calendar that we approved at the previous meeting? Okay. And then the Sarah Parker Ramon School. I understand innovation schools, they can have their own calendar. I'm trying to understand the benefit because I'm looking at it and I'm seeing additional costs for different days for primarily transportation. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if, I don't necessarily think this year is probably not the best one to change it, but I do think that it's something that should be part of that conversation of what is the benefit of having a separate calendar? How is that related to the, like, what is the relation to the innovation plan to have autonomy with the school calendar? Having a student there for 6 years, I never quite understood it. I did like the earlier year and the earlier start, but now on this side, I don't necessarily like the additional days of like transportation. It's just definitely confusing, I think, to have one school that's outside. So I would just like that to be a continued conversation topic.
If District wants to respond, Member Miranda?
Yeah, I similarly had some concerns, and also there are some aspects of this calendar that I actually like more than ours. No offense to all the work that went into the rest of
Not offended.
the other calendar for the rest of the district, but curious about like the cost and the benefits here, and then also question in terms of the rest of the district, how are those calendars produced? Like, are we soliciting feedback from staff when we're creating that?
Yeah, we do get feedback from staff. I do have a conversation with the union president, and I meet with a teacher advisory group, so I get feedback from them around it. We haven't gotten a lot of feedback from families, because when we do that, we get about 30 different versions. And we tried that one time, and it didn't go great, because just everybody has their own schedules. And so I have gotten feedback from the parent advisory group, though, on calendars. Just, but it's hard to like make, there's always somebody that doesn't like some aspect of the calendar. But staff have had a lot of input, or have weighed in on the calendar. It's one of my least favorite exercises, because some people like to start early, some people like to get out early, right? So, and some people like to start after Labor Day. But I do think the question about like keeping the whole district on the same calendar, I would promote that, because I do think that does add to not only some costs, it's also a lot of confusion. Because there are days where I'm like, I wake up in the morning, wait, does Carleton have school today? And then, does the, and that can be, the last thing we want is like the buses not to show up, because we forgot that Carleton's the only school in the district that has school on a given day. And it's just hard for messaging and continuity. And there are many families have kids in multiple schools, especially at the middle and the high school. So I do think, I think we're in the midst of the innovation plan. We're obviously adjusting it, but I think probably the time to do it is when the innovation plan expires, which is, I think, 2 more years, Kate?
The current one?
Yeah, the current one, yeah.
Member Hoffman?
There seem to be a lot of half-days in a lot of months. Like, is that normal for every month to have a half-day?
Oh, the New Liberty.
Oh, New Liberty, that's the model that New Liberty has had for a long
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, I was just confused. It's like, oh my God.
That's part of their innovation model, that they have
That makes
every
sense.
Wednesday as a half day.
That makes sense. Sorry, I was on the wrong calendar.
Member Cornell?
I'm wondering, the other calendar has students having a half day the day before Halloween, so I'm wondering if there was any feedback about why they have a full day off on the 30th, unless I'm misreading the calendar.
The New Liberty? Or Carleton?
Sarah Parker Ramon.
Closed.
They have no school.
They have no school.
on the 30th.
Right. I'm wondering why.
They just historically.
They have done that historically. They can do that because their year is going longer. They have to do 180 days. They've just chosen to spread their 180 days out. They've done that. They've always had that day off, even when the district had school on that day. I mean, the reason they can is part of their innovation plan. They can do their own. I'm not sure I understand your question, because they set their own calendar. So that's
No,
what
I know. I'm just wondering. I was just wondering why. It's an odd day if it's not Salem and everybody else is doing a half day. So I was just curious.
Member Stott?
It makes me think it's a carryover from Carleton not being used as a voting location. They were able to be open on voting
true.
day, and they kind of took that as they were open on voting day, and they always took Halloween off
True. Yeah.
historically. So I don't know if that's part of the reasoning. I wasn't there when they made this one, but.
Any further discussion or questions on the calendars? There's a motion to approve both the New Liberty and Sarah Parker Ramon calendar for the 2026-2027 school year. Yep. Member Miranda.
So do we have an understanding of the costs and, yeah, the additional costs to these types of, I understand and value like the democratic process of having our staff vote on these things. And I'm concerned about passing this calendar.
So I don't have that data, but I could get you that. If you chose not to vote on the calendar, we could get that for you, and then you would have that before you made a decision. I mean, right, Elizabeth, we could get that information to them.
Member Cornell.
Just to that point, I'm wondering is this a time-sensitive issue? Like, what are the implications of us waiting a couple of weeks to see what the financial impact is?
Well, I think, it's just in giving parents clarity on the schedule. I think parents really, and I think everybody on this committee is a parent, they just want to really know what the first day of school is going to be. So I think that's important. That's the question I get the most, is when the first day of school is. But, it is certainly the committee's prerogative to wait a couple weeks until we get you that information, and then you can vote on the calendar. I mean, it's part of the deal with an innovation school.
So we have a motion to approve both calendars. Do you wish to modify the motion? No. Okay. On the motion to approve both calendars, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, matter carries 5-1. Member Miranda opposed.
I can still get you that data. Let me just write that down here.
Second motion is on the naming of the Salem School Carleton building to the Sarah Parker Ramon Elementary School. This is a second reading of 3 readings.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion made by Member Cornell, seconded by Member Stott. Under discussion. Member Stott.
I did bring up that innovation question because I am curious, and I think it might be helpful to have some context to when Bentley became an innovation. Was it renamed Bentley Academy Innovation? Was there? So I don't know if any other members have thoughts about adding innovation into the name. Personally, I'm not. I think it's a mouthful already, but I also like acknowledging that it's an innovation school.
Member Miranda.
I think if some of the parts of the plan that we really love and appreciate and would like to spread to other schools, I think I don't know, like, would it make sense to still have that school named as, like, have innovation in the name if we then take some of those aspects and spread it over the district?
Can you explain again? Yeah.
Like we've talked about as a body, bringing some of the aspects from the Carleton Innovation Plan to other schools throughout the district. And so that is the part that I'm struggling with. Like, how will families differentiate at that point if that's what we decide to do as a body? And also acknowledge, like, it does still have an innovation plan, so I don't know. And maybe that would make the name too long, I'm not sure.
So are you suggesting that it should have the word innovation in there?
No, I'm suggesting we just leave the name.
Okay. Any other discussion on this point? Member Cornell.
I don't feel strongly either way about whether or not it should have the word innovation in the title. I do get the, about this being a mouthful. And I've taken, I think some of the feedback that we've gotten from community members really made me think about how we approach the entire process. Like, I don't want to get into a situation where the school is called, SPR or Sarah Parker, where it's shortened. So I think we have to be really intentional as a district about how we roll this out for the community. Like, this is what we are going to say all the time. We are going to say Sarah Parker Ramond, and having a real campaign to make that happen is I think incredibly important. So then if we do have innovation tacked on there, to designate that for incoming parents and families, we still have this other campaign, like, this is how we talk about our school. We say these three things. And I also did want to acknowledge, too, I think that some folks are worried about kind of the pronunciation or how long it is, and that can be difficult for some of our younger learners. But I also think this is a really great opportunity for not just our students, but for the entire community to learn how to be, respectful and honor people's names and how we pronounce them. And we live in a really diverse city with folks from all over the place. And my name's super easy to pronounce. Beth Ann Cornell is not hard, but I bet you some of you here have names that might be a little tricky for me, and I'd have to work really hard, but I should do it because that's your name. And I feel the same way about Sarah Parker Ramond. We can get everybody there, and it's a good lesson. So I just wanted to share that.
Member Hoffman.
I agree with that. I also think you can think of it as in terms of pronouns. When you make a mistake, just fix it. It's not a big deal. You mispronounce it, get corrected, whatever, move on. But I also think in a general practice for all of our schools, we go to abbreviations all the time, and maybe it's time to stop doing that and start calling all our schools by their name. You have Horace Mann that you call HMLS. You have New Liberty, which goes by initials. So I think it's a good time to start using full names for things and stop shortening just because it's convenient or comfortable.
I was just going to say, I'm a Carleton parent, and my son's in P2, and he's been coming home, kind of practicing the pronunciation and talking about it. So I think the school's doing a good job about that.
Right. Member Stott.
Thank you. I agree it's a long name, but we can choose which portions of the name. Like we won't say elementary school each time when we're naming the school. Mm-hmm. I do like the indication of an innovation school, mostly because it provides information when new incoming families are looking at the list of schools. And while we will be sprinkling pieces of the innovation parts that work throughout the city, which is the goal and great, Sarah Parker Ramond School will be kind of the designated incubator school for the innovation plan, and to know that that is the school that works on the building out that plan, reviewing it every 5 years, the actual modeling of it before moving out. I think indicating that, similar to how Bentley is the innovation plan for dual language, just kind of giving that indicator. I like having that name in there. I'm sorry to add another word. But I think, again, just to be able to properly reflect it out for those that are looking at the list of our schools, it gives a good indicator. I don't know how that would work if we've already had one reading of the name, though.
You can amend it. That's why we have multiple readings, is so we can have opportunities to.
I'll just keep changing it.
Member Cornell.
I'll make a motion with an amendment to designate it as Sarah Parker Ramond Innovation School.
So I'll second that.
Okay. All right. So the amended motion is second reading for Sarah Parker Ramond Innovation School. So, motion made by Member Cornell, seconded by Member Miranda. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor of second reading? Any opposed? The matter carries 6-0. School Committee norms.
I'll make a motion that the school committee adopt the norms established at our school committee retreat.
I'll second.
Motion made by Member Cornell on adoption of the proposed norms for the Salem School Committee, seconded by Member Miranda. Under discussion. Say a few words.
I don't know if, Beth Ann, if you'd like to, I don't know if you want to kind of take over or briefly describe or, no? Okay.
You know, I always want to take
I think-
over. but you
Yeah,
should do
don't.
it.
Careful.
Okay, I'll do it. So during our retreat, we came up with some proposed school committee norms that this body would like to adhere to. And so for people, members of the public, our students, I'm just going to briefly go through them. We have 6 here. So we talked about, in our retreat, we talked about, as a collective group, leading with respect and civility, ensuring equitable participation, communicating transparently and preparing thoughtfully, practicing humility and accountability, building trust through clear processes, and strengthening collaboration with the administration, which is, Dr. Zreich and his team. And there's some, a couple sentences under each one here. And I'm curious, I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on these before we, accept them. But hopefully I was able to collect all of the information in a way that honors the conversation that we had.
Member Cornell.
I'm not going to take over. I just wanted to say thank you to Member Miranda for organizing this and for proposing that we come up with these norms. And again, for our students here, this might be something for you all to get a hold of because it's really interesting. It's just sort of a list of ways that we're all supposed to treat each other. So it's a really great way to start meetings and think about the way we talk to each other. So thank you.
Member Stott.
I'd also just like to say thanks. I think it's a great start to the year, to the term, to service, to have these norms in front of us. I wish every committee and body did something of this sort. And I am grateful and thankful that we have these in place and looking forward to working with everyone under these norms.
So I would also like to say thank you for raising this topic and to all the committee members for taking that time at the retreat to have a really, I think, thoughtful and deep conversation about establishing these. To your point, Member Stott, I tend to send a copy of these to all of the staff that staff different boards and commissions in the city and suggest they consider the same, including our friends on the city council. At their discretion, they're a separate and co-equal branch of government. But again, I think this is really fantastic, and we should be sure that these are also reflected up on the website for the committee so that the public can see them and understand them as well. On the motion, in a second, no further discussion. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, the matter carries 6-0. Final item under motions and resolutions is the school committee calendar of topics for the 2026 calendar year. Yep, Member
Make a
Cornell.
motion to adopt the proposed school committee topics for the calendar year.
Second.
Motion made by Member Cornell, seconded by Member Stott. Under discussion. Member Stott.
Again, thank you for the effort and work put into organizing this. Again, think it's great. Think it's something that everybody should do to really plan out the year, understanding that coming together and meeting is a lot of work. We ask for a lot of people to be here and help and present the topics. My one comment on this is things will come up, though, and as long as we enter this schedule knowing that there will need to be some flexibility with items that ad hoc appear, or we might not be able to get to everything. I haven't really reviewed this breakdown, but I will, just to make sure that I'm probably going to star the ones that I want to make sure don't get dropped, and I would recommend everyone does that. But yeah, just going into it with grace, that we will do the best we can.
Member Hoffman.
I agree too. Thank you for doing this. I have one concern. The SROs, I feel that discussion needs to be earlier in the year, not in November. I feel like that's too late, and if it would be possible to maybe move it to a closer date, if that would be acceptable.
Yeah, Member Cornell?
Then I would make a motion with an amendment to adopt the calendar as written, with the understanding that items may be shifted or prioritized, or, as we go along, or as school committee members have continuing conversations. So I'm sorry, Shirley, that's a really long motion, but.
Yeah, Member Miranda?
Do we have to second that? Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, amended motion, seconded by Member Miranda. I agree, flexibility, I think, is really going to be important because things change pretty quickly, but having this also, again, for the public's sake, will also help, I think, understand, what are the topics that we'll be talking about when in the calendar year that people may have an interest in and plan to show up for. Any further discussion? Seeing none on the motion to approve as amended. All in favor? Any opposed? The matter carries 6-0. Announcements. School committee announcements.
We're doing this here?
Sure.
Okay. We agreed in our retreat that we would kind of come to a conclusion about what goes in our new newsletter that will be put out by the school committee at the end of each month. We haven't done that, so we're going to put our own newsletter out for folks to kind of help improve transparency and communication. And so I sort of just was generating a list while we're sitting here. We agreed at our retreat that this wouldn't be overly detailed. We have minutes that we can link to, so we don't need to go into really granular detail. But I did just note a few things that we might want to highlight, which is just initial conversation about moving New Liberty and Salem Prep, innovation plan, preparation and process, note about school, Salem Public School budget, our norms, and the calendar of school committee topics. And I think we said that at the end of each month, we would know what the big topics were coming for the next month so that we could really improve outreach to the community so folks could show up when they, were particularly interested in a subject. But I don't know if I can entertain other things to add to this list, but.
Any further announcements? I just have two quick items. We didn't have an update on the high school building project, but we do have the meeting with the Massachusetts School Building Authority on the 25th for the finalization of the reimbursement rate and the construction costs. We do expect to have the MSBA, the state's funding increase to about 46% of the project, so it's a $208 million grant from the state. And the road show continues. I spoke to the Salem Common Neighborhood Association this weekend, and we'll be at the Collins PTO in the next month, I think, for a presentation. And then the other update I have to share is that while you all are on vacation, I thank you for opening up Witchcraft Heights Elementary School to the mobile mayor's office, which will be there on Tuesday, February 17th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. for the community to come and say hi to the mayor's staff. We'll be working out of your cafeteria, so thank you for your hospitality and welcoming us. Yep, Dr. Zari.
Am I allowed to do an announcement?
Yeah,
too? Okay,
absolutely.
two quick things I forgot. One is our design day, unfortunately, was snowed out with all the snow that Salem got on Saturday. I'm glad we postponed it. We'll be sending out a new date sometime after February break, and we hope students and families and staff will attend, so stay tuned for that. Trying to remember what my other one was. I think I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that, Mayor. So we'll let folks know when Design Day is rescheduled. Thank you.
Member Miranda.
Very short announcement. Happy Black History Month.
Any further motions?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion made by Member Cornell, seconded by Member Miranda. Under discussion, seeing none. All in favor? Any opposed?
Did you
No.
just vote?
Matter carries 6-0. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Love it.